Hello and welcome to this session on properties file. I'm Raghav and today we are going to learn properties file from scratch. So if you are a total beginner, do not worry, we are going to go very basic step by step and we will see what is a properties file, how to create a properties file, how to get data from properties file, how to set data to a properties file, and finally we will run our Selenium tests using a properties file, and we will also look at some useful tips. So let's get started, and any file with a .properties extension is called a properties file. For example, config.properties, and in Java and related technologies, these properties file are used to store some parameters or settings. For example, if you want to set your browser like Firefox, you can set it, the browser name you can set in your properties file, and we can make our code to read this property or this parameter from the properties file and accordingly run our test on that particular browser. We will practically see how this is done. Let us see how to create a properties file. So as we have seen, any file with a .properties extension is a properties file. So in our Java project, we will create a file with .properties extension. So we will create a config.properties file. So let me go to my Eclipse, and here in our project, so this is a project we have been creating in the earlier session. If you have watched those session, it is good. But also if you have not watched it, you can still continue with this session because this is going to be a separate session for config file. What I will do is in my src test Java here, because this is a Maven project, you can also create this packages and properties file in your normal Java project. I will do a right click here and I will first create a package so that my configurations are stored separately in a package, and I will name this package as config and say finish. And now I will do a right click on the config package. I will say new, and I'm getting the option for file here. If you do not get the option here, you can go to others and then you can search for file option. I will click on file and here I will say config dot properties and I will say finish. So you can see our config.properties is created here, and here is the file, and here you can give any key value pairs. For example, I will say browser equals Firefox. Okay, so this is the very first step we have to do, is we have to create a config file. And now let us see how to get data from our properties file or config.properties file. There are four basic steps. The very first step is we have to create an object for the class properties file. So what I will do is in the same package I will create a new class. I will create a class and I will call this class as properties file, and I will also create a main method here and click on finish. So here we have got this properties file with a main method, and I will create a method public static void, and I will say get properties. I will name this method as get properties, and inside this first I will have to create a object for properties. So I will say properties prop, you can give any name to the variable, equals new properties. And here if I hover over this, I have to get properties from Java util, so I will import this, and this is now imported here, and a semicolon at the end, and this is the very first step. So we have created an object for the class properties. Second step is we have to create an object for class input stream, because we have to read from a file. So I will create a input stream object, and here I will say input stream. I can use any variable name. I'm using input here, equals new file input stream. And if I press Control spacebar on my keyboard, I am getting this auto completed. I will use this file input stream, and here inside these brackets I have to give the location for my properties file, which is config.properties. And before that I will also import this input stream from java.io. and now I have to get this location. So I will right click on my config.properties file, go to properties, and here this is the location. I will just copy this location. I'll copy it from here, and in the class here, in this particular method, I will give it this location of the config.properties file. Now, of course, this is an absolute location, and if you take this project somewhere else, this will break because it may not find the properties file at the same location. So for that, what I can do is I can get the location of my project by the using system.getProperty, and the property name is user.dir. This property gives us the location of this current project, and I will store it in a variable called project path. Okay, and now this project path I will use here. So instead of all this, until our project location, which is Selenium Java Framework, until here, I can give this variable, and then after that I can give this rest of the location. So you can see this is Selenium Java Framework, and here I will say plus for concatenation, and also you can change the double backslash with a single forward slash. Double backslash will work fine on Windows, but if you take it on any other operating system like Mac, it will break. So I'm changing all the double backslashes with a single forward slash, and this is done. Okay, so let me just also import this file input stream. Okay, so it is already imported, but we have to handle this exception. Either we have to add a throws declaration or surround with a try catch. So I will surround this entire code with a try catch block. I will say try here, curly braces start, curly braces stop, and this entire code will go inside the try block, and then I will have a catch block here. I will say catch, and I'm taking exception exp. And just in case you do not know how to do this exception handling, I have a separate session for exception handling, and I will provide the link in the description. You can watch that as well. So I will say exp dot get message, exp dot get cause, and exp dot print stack trace. So just in case we get any exception, it will be handled like this, and I will print it out here like this. And the same thing I will do for exp.getCause. SYSO control spacebar on keyboard, it will autocomplete, and this system.out.println, I am going to print it in case of any exception. So this is done. We are done with our step for file input stream. And let me see, why is this error? I think we are missing a curly braces here. Yes. And then the next step is we have to load the properties file with this command or statement prop.load, and then whatever variable we have used. So we have used input, so we will say prop.load, and this is the input stream variable we have used. Okay, so now at this point our properties file is now available in this Java program, and now we can read the properties file. So to read, we can say prop.getProperty and whatever is the value or the name of the property. So now I will say prop.getProperty, and it is auto completing, and the name is, so here we have given browser. I will say read the property browser, and also we can store it in any string variable. I will say string browser equals get it from the properties file, and I can also print it out on the console. So I will say browser here. So this is the code to read the properties file. Let us try to run this and check it. So in the main method, I will call this function get properties, and now I will do a right click, run as Java application, and here you can see it is now printing Firefox. Now we can also write to a properties file. So let us see how to set data to a properties file. Again, we have very simple 4 steps. The first step is we again have to create an object of the properties class. So now I will create another function here. I will say public static void set properties, and here I have to use this again. So what I will do is, instead of writing it multiple times in different function, I will make this as a class variable. So I will cut it from here and give it here at the class level, and this should be fine. So this is having an error because we are referring it in a static function, so I also have to make it as static here. So this is a static variable prop, and it is being used here, and I can also now use it in any other function. So we are actually done with the first step, properties prop equals new properties. And then the second function is we have to create an object of the output stream class. So like we have done for input stream, I will say output stream, and any variable name I will say output equals new file output stream. So this will help us in writing our data to our properties file, and again we have to use the location of our properties file. So I will just copy it from our earlier function and just give it here, and a semicolon at the end, and that's it. So here again project path is not declared here, so again this I can make it, I can take it at a global level. So I will cut it from here and give it at the class level so that it is available to all the functions, and again I have to make it as static. So yes, this is now done. So now output stream I will import from java.io. So now we don't have any errors. Let me just see there. Okay, file output stream, again it is asking us to surround with a try catch. So I will just use this try catch that I have already used. I will say try here, and here I will just copy the catch block again, and to ident it I will control A, I will select everything and press control I on my keyboard, so everything is now idented. And yes, so I don't have any errors now. So second step is done. Third step is now we have to set property using the set property method. So I will say prop dot set property, and I can set any property. For example, I can even set or change the existing property. I can say browser, and here I can give some other value. I can say it should be set to Chrome. Okay, and then doing this will not completely end our program. We also have to store the properties using the prop.store function. So at the end I have to use prop.store, and here I have to use the variable that we used as output stream, which is output. And comments are optional. You can give some comments here, or if you don't want you can just say null, and that's it. So this will store this browser as Chrome, and I will also call this here set properties, and let us try to run this now. I will do a right click. I can also run it from here. I will just run it from here. So you can see it first read Firefox, but if you go now in your config.properties, you can see now it is changed to browser equals Chrome. So Chrome is now written here, and again if you, let me just say Firefox here again, and what I'm going to do is I am going to call the get properties again the third time. Okay, so what it will do is it will first run get properties, which will read the property browser and should print Firefox, which because as of now it is Firefox, and then set property method should change the property browser to Chrome, and then when we call get properties again it should read Chrome and print Chrome. So let us try to run this again, and you can see it is first reading Firefox, then after set property has changed it, it is now reading again, and now it is changed to Chrome. Okay, so this is how you can do this. Now let us go how can we use this into our Selenium test. So let me go to our earlier tests. Now if you have some other tests, you can use it there, so you can just follow the concept. I'm taking one of our TestNG demo tests that we used earlier. So this is our TestNG demo. Now what I'm going to do here is here I will make this. So here we have a setup test. What I'm going to do is I will create a string variable, or I will create a variable here at the top level. I will say string browser name equals, as of now I will call it as null, and here in the setup test I will say if browser name equals, or let me use dot equals ignore case, so even if there is some case sensitive thing it will be ignored, and I will say if it is equals to Chrome, then I will set the browser to Chrome, and this is the statement to set it to Chrome, and this we have already seen earlier, so I'm just doing it very fast. So system.setProperty WebDriver.ChromeDriver equals to the location of the ChromeDriver.exe, which is here. So in the drivers folder I have Chrome driver, and ChromeDriver.exe is here, so I'm just setting this value here. Okay, project path I have to take it up. I will take it here. Okay, and then I will say else if, I will just copy this again, and I will say else if browser name dot equals ignore case Firefox, then I have to set it to Firefox. So for Firefox, let me just take some other earlier class where I have set Firefox, and yes, it is here. I'm just copying it from here and I will paste it here. Okay, so if the browser name is Firefox, we will set the properties and driver according to Firefox, and this driver should be taken from our class variable, and now it is done. Now what I have to do is this browser name I have to set from the properties file. So I have browser Chrome here and we have this properties file here. So what I'm going to do is in get properties I will call this testng demo class, and I will say testng demo, and I will say dot, but do you see I'm not getting any browser name variable here. So for that what I have to do is I have to make this browser name public, and I think public static. Okay, now if I go here and I say testng demo dot, you can see I am getting the browser name, and this I have to set to whatever is available in my properties file or config.properties file. So I will make it equal to whatever is there in my config file. I can also use this browser variable because I have already stored it here. So I, instead of writing this again, I will just use this browser variable. Okay, and so this whatever is set here in the config.properties in browser, that will come here in browser variable, and then it will be stored in the testng demo browser name variable, which is this one, and then in the setup test we are checking if the browser name equals Chrome, then run this, and if the browser name equals Firefox, then run this. Okay, so again what I have to do is I also have to call this properties file function get properties. So for that what I will do here is I will say properties file dot, and I have to use get properties. So I will use this function. So what will happen is it will come in setup test, call this get properties, go here, and here it will get the browser property or the name which is Chrome, set it to the testng demo browser name variable, come back here, and now this is set to whatever is available in our config.properties, and the rest of the execution will go accordingly. So let us try to run this, and we know our browser is set to Chrome. So here I will do a right click. I will say run as testng test and let us see. So yes, I think it has detected Chrome browser and it is running our test on a Chrome browser, and everything is pass, and yes, everything is pass. Now let us test it with the Firefox. I will go to my config.properties, make it equal to Firefox, save it, go back to my testng demo and run as testng test. Let us now see what happens. So yes, it has detected Firefox and now it is opening a Firefox browser and doing all the things, and now it is done. So everything is passed, and I think there is some error, although it ran on Firefox properly. So but there is some error. I think it is some error during tear down. So let us see. So here if you go to the, so you can see this is the test which is being run. It is going to google.com and then entering automation step by step in the search box and hitting on the uh, return key or the enter key. So this we have done earlier, and here I think browser or driver.qt is having a problem in Firefox. I will comment this out and run as testng test and let us now see. Yes, it is running on a Firefox browser, and yes, everything is okay now. It is fine now. Also we have seen that we can also write our uh, properties or parameters in a config file using the set properties. So what I will do is I will write a new property result and I will say this is pass, okay, or this is pass. And what I will do is in our testng demo, in the tear down, if everything goes fine and we are able to run the test successfully, I will again call properties file class dot, I will now say set properties, and this will call the set properties method, which is this one, and it will log or put result equals pass in our config.properties. Let us now see. So I will run this again and let us now see. It is running on a Firefox, opens a browser, goes to google.com, and it is done. Everything was very fast. So let us go back and see our config.properties, and you can see result equals pass has come here. Okay, so this is how you can use your config.properties to set the properties for your execution. And here now let us very quickly look at some useful tips. So the very first tip is you can use hash or exclamation mark to put comments on the properties file, and this is very important. So you should always put comments in properties file so that it is very easy to refer, and for a new person it is easy to know what is this particular parameter for. So you can say this is, or I should say here, right, this parameter sets the browser for test execution. And similarly you can use different comments, and you can use exclamation mark or a hash sign to write the comments. The second tip is uh, you can use the debug mode to troubleshoot in case of any errors. So for example, let me just show you. Here we have given this, let me go up, and here we are calling this properties file. Now just in case at any location in your program, if you are finding any problem or any error, you can go here and double click here and put a breakpoint. So you can see this dot, this is a breakpoint, and if you go to this particular section and double click, it will be a breakpoint. And now what you can do is you can right click, and instead of run as, select debug as, and I will debug as testng test. So what will happen is the execution will break or will come here, and it will be paused here. So you can see the execution has come until this point where I have put the breakpoint, and it is now paused here. And now I can step by step go inside by pressing the F5 or F6 key. So if I have to go inside this particular function, I will press F5. I am pressing F5 on my keyboard, and you can see now it has gone inside the properties file, get properties function. Now I'm pressing F6, so it is step by step go, and you can actually see what is happening. So now if I hover over this browser, you can see it has taken the value Firefox. And now I will again press F6 and again press F6, and now if I hover over the browser name, you can see now it has come Firefox. And then you can press F8 to resume, and also you can you can create multiple breakpoints. So for example, if I create a breakpoint here and then I create a breakpoint somewhere else, so if I press F8, it will go from one breakpoint to other. So this is very useful for our troubleshooting, and you can use it at any time whenever you are finding any issues. And this is a wiki page for properties, and this will be very helpful. Let me just show you. So here you can see I will provide this link in the description or notes section of this video as well. So dot properties is a file extension for files mainly used in Java, and also you can see you can create the properties or parameters in different formats like key equals value, key space equals space value, key colon value, and so on. So here you can see what we have used is key equals value, but you can use any of these formats. Let us do a very quick recap. Today we learned what is a properties file, how to create a properties file, how to get data from a properties file, how to set data, and how to run our test using a properties file. I hope this session was very useful for you. If you liked this session, please hit the like button and share with everyone so that it can help everyone. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I will meet you in the next episode. Thank you for watching.